Hey guys, what's going on? Today I'm going to be doing the second part of the two-part video on how to dip your car at home. Now, I've already masked up the car, and if you haven't seen how I already did that, you can check out the part 1 video, and I'll put that right here in this little box. You can check that out, see where we're at, and you can come back to this. But if not, if you're at part 2 where you're supposed to be, we're going to be dipping my car. Now, the stock car right now is a gloss black, and I'm going to be making it a color similar to this. So it's like a goldy black color. It looks really sweet, especially in the light. It gives a couple different kind of colors in there. It's really awesome. I can't wait to get it started. But before we actually put down this gold and all that stuff, what we gotta do is load up the paint gun, put the PlastiDip inside the hopper, and then go to town, start spraying. All right guys, so this is the first gallon of Black PlastiDip that we're gonna be putting down. We're gonna be putting down a total of 3 gallons on the car, and then another gallon of Gold Metalizer. So open this up. You're gonna wanna grab your stir stick, put it at the end of a drill, put it in, and stir up the contents inside so that we can load it inside of our gun.
Stir up the PlastiDip for a good minute to make sure that all the PlastiDip that's settled at the bottom of the gallon is properly mixed in.
So we put that aside. Open up the bottom of your paint gun. Put the top part aside. And then you're gonna grab one of your filters, put it on here, and then load up the gun with some of the black. Now when you're filling this up, you don't want to fill it up right up to the brim. You're going to want to leave a little bit of space for air to circulate inside there. Also, if you put too much dip inside the hopper, you can actually clog up your paint gun and it won't shoot. So I like going right there, right at the 48 ounce line. 48 ounces right here. That's where I'm going. So I'm going to get my filter, put that aside. Put this lid on top. Put my top part on the bottom, and we're good to go.
After you go ahead and load your gun with PlastiDip, you're just about ready to start dipping. I should first give you a few tips before you actually pull that trigger. Every time you pick up your spray gun, make sure that you do a test shot to make sure the tip isn't clogged with PlastiDip and the fan pattern looks good. It's very crucial to do this because if the tip is clogged, it will really affect how smooth the final finish is going to be. Now I like starting towards the top of the car and then work my way towards the bottom. So if I'm doing the side of the car, I'll start with the top by the roof and work my way down towards the rocker panel. As you can see, I'm breaking the car down into sections and doing one section at a time. After every coat, you should definitely move your sections so you don't start and stop on the same spot, so you make sure that everything is nice and consistent. You should also keep your gun about 6 to 8 inches away from the car when you're laying down the PlastiDip. After every pass, you should only move down about 50% so you always have a constant overlap. This way the PlastiDip will be applied wet and you'll have a solid uniform look once it's dried. Don't hold the gun in one spot when you're dipping the car too. Once you pull the trigger, there's no undo button or reversal. If you make a mistake, there's no forgiveness. As it goes for the flat panels of the car like the hood, roof, and trunk, I use a push-pull method. So if I'm dipping the hood, I'll start off with one side and push the dip over to the other side. Now you can start with either side or the top or the bottom if you like, as long as you're not putting down wet PlastiDip onto dried PlastiDip. If you do, you'll notice that some parts will have different texture and your finish won't be flat. You'll really be able to notice this after each coat is fully dried. If you've applied the PlastiDip properly, each coat should be flat and matte every single time. This is what it should look like when you're done each coat. The push-pull method that I was talking about is just like this. Now you start dipping one side of the flat panel and you work your way to the other side. Don't start at the middle of the hood and pull towards you, because after you have to do the second half of the hood, you're going to be putting down too much PlastiDip in the middle. Now you want to have one solid coat each time instead of heavy and uneven buildup by not doing it this way. You can see how the hood turns glossy after you put down another coat of PlastiDip. When it dries, it will turn matte and you'll be able to tell when your car is ready for another coat. Once the first coat is dry, apply a second coat to the car in the same manner as the first. Now once that second coat is also dried, I also like doing a spot shot coat. So after your second coat's fully dried, change the gun's fan pattern so it shoots into a circle shot, along with cranking down the volume of the gun too. Then go around all the panel edges of the car and spray dip on there. Now no matter what you do not do a spot shot for any fluorescent colors or any type of enhancer. Anything that has a translucent base to it, do not do a spot shot. This is after the last coat of Black PlastiDip. Now you should do at least 5 coats of the solid color PlastiDip on the car for complete coverage. It will also make removing the PlastiDip a lot easier. If you want to see how easy it will be removing the PlastiDip, check out this other video. Now I'm going to let this dry and I'm going to start throwing down the Gold Metalizer on top. If you're going to be adding an enhancer on top of your regular matte PlastiDip, make sure that you walk the length of the car each time to make sure you don't get uneven buildup. With regular colored PlastiDip, you don't have to worry about this because PlastiDip isn't that translucent. Because all the enhancers have a translucent base, you'll notice areas that have more of this dip than others. Now the Gold Metalizer that I'm using, you'll be able to see concentrated areas that have extra gold flake in areas that I've held the gun in one spot for too long. Now the same thing goes for the pearlizers and the glossifiers too. Also, not to mention the dip pearl lineup and all the other gallons that you're adding flakes into the clear dip, you'll have the exact same process there. Now if you can tell, I've got my dial fully opened so I can get as much PlastiDip coming out of the gun as possible. If you can also see, I'm tracking a lot faster right now with the gun. I do this so I can get even coverage, and that's very important. After you stir up the gallon of metalizer with your drill, make sure to stir up the dip that's now in your hopper to make sure that the sediments like the gold flake don't settle at the bottom. Now if they do, you'll have a sporadic layer for your enhancer gallon. You'll have spots with lots of gold flake towards the beginning of spraying, and then you'll have less and less as you continue. Stirring it up every once in a while can solve this problem. If you guys can tell, I'm not putting down wet coats of the metalizer on my car, as I do not want a very gold metallic car. I want the gold metal flake in the PlastiDip to accent the black dip. Now if you want to go with a very gold metallic car, you put the enhancer on wet, similar to how I was putting down the Black PlastiDip. Notice how I'm walking the length of the car? Again, this is so I get an even application with no tiger striping. Make sure that when you're taking the PlastiDip off your car, no two panels have dip connected to each other. If you pull the excess dip off the car and it's connected to a panel or say tape, you have a 50-50% chance of taking it off successfully. Now I don't think that risk is worth restarting this entire project over, so if you want, you can get an X-Acto knife to the dip and take it off carefully like that. Now another option is to remove your masked up areas when the PlastiDip is still wet. If you want to say take care of a door seal, the easiest way I find is to simply open the door after you put down your last coat of PlastiDip. If the PlastiDip is still wet, you can open the doors and it'll make a perfect clean cut seal every time. If you guys are finding a hard time to remove the excess PlastiDip that's on, say, your headlights, taillights, or whatever, if you want, you can let the PlastiDip dry a little bit longer, and it'll actually make removing it a lot easier. The longer the PlastiDip gets to dry, the easier it will be to remove. If you guys remember the wheel covers, this is where they stand out. You remove one clip behind the tire, and then the entire thing comes off along with all that overspray.
Alright guys, so this is the final product. I'm really excited and really happy on how it turned out. In different kinds of light, it either goes from a dark gold or dark green into a nice bright metallic gold. It looks awesome. I'm gonna get the camera, bring it in, and show you guys how it turned out. If you guys have any questions on how to dip your car or whatever, throw them down in the comments below and I'll be glad to help. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you like what you see and you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. And again, thanks for watching.